This is a non-right triangle. I have my chart that labels my angles, big A, big B, big C, and my sides, little a, little b, little c, to determine law of sines and cosines. I'll fill this in with big A is 88 degrees, little a is 22, and little c is 20. So to determine this, I look to see if all of my angles, if I have two of the three angles, I do not. That means that I have to go ahead and go into law of sines or cosines. So to determine law of sines or cosines, I look to see if I have any pairs of letters. So I have big A and little a. That means I can automatically do law of sines. And because I'm going to go straight into law of sines, I will do law of sines twice. So the first law of sines, I notice that I have my pair of A's, so I'm going to use the A's the entire time for this problem because I know that this pair is correct from the given information. I am missing big C and both of the B's, so I need to find big C, so therefore I'll have two of the three angles, and then I can find the third angle using the angle addition of triangles, the triangle angle sum theorem. So I will find big C. Well, big C is an angle. That means that this angle will be on the top of my fraction when I do law of sines. So that means I will keep the angle in the top. So since I'm using the A's, I'll end up having sine of big A over little a is equal to sine of big C over little c. And now I can fill in the numbers. So we have sine of big A, which is 88 degrees, over little a, which was 22, is equal to sine of big C, which is unknown, divided by little c, which is 20. So I need to solve for C, which has both the sine and the 20 attached to it, so I need to get both of these off of it. So I'll undo the division first, so I'll do the inverse of division, which is multiplication. So I'll multiply both sides by 20. As a reminder, this 88 is a degree and this 20 is not, so therefore I cannot multiply those two actual values. This is 20 times all of sine of 88. So I'll have 20 sine of 88 over, all of that over 22 is now equal to sine of big C, because 20 and 20 in the denominator will simplify to 1. Now I need to do the inverse of sine, which is just, as always, sine inverse. So I'll do sine inverse of both sides. Sine inverse. And so I'll type this into a calculator because I didn't want to type this green into the calculator yet because I knew it would give me a really bad decimal. So I'm going to type this all into my calculator as one thing. So as a reminder, always make sure your calculator or Desmos is in degree mode. And I'm going to put this into a calculator, so I'm going to type in sine inverse, so that's second sine on the calculator. So sine inverse of 20 sine 88, and I need to close a little parenthesis because of that 88. Right here, I'll close that parenthesis. And then I'll divide that by the 22, but then I will make sure that I do close this entire parentheses as well, because that's the end of my sine inverse. Press enter and I'll end up with 65.303968 is going to equal to big C, because the sine inverse and sine are inverses of each other. So this has to round to the nearest tenth. So to the nearest tenth, this 0 keeps that 3 as a 3. So big C is 65.3 degrees. So we've done law of sines once. I know I will have to do law of sines twice, but I have nothing for the B's yet, so I can't even use law of sines yet. But again, we do have two of the three angles of a triangle, and as always, the three angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So I know two of them, so I can find B now, without doing law of sines again. I can find B knowing that it's 88 plus 65.3 plus angle B, all three of those equal to 180 degrees. So I can take 180 degrees and subtract 88 degrees, and also subtract the 65.3 degrees, and we get 26.7. Therefore, big B is 26.7 degrees. Now I have something for the B's. Now I can continue going into law of sines. And again, I'm going to always use in this problem the sign of A over little a with the, I'm going to use the A's because those were the original numbers given to us. So I'm going to come back to law of sines again. And I know I'm going to use the A's, but I need to know, am I finding big B or little b? Since I'm finding little b, I'm going to have that in the numerator. I'm going to have the little letter in the numerator instead of the big letter. So I'm going to have little a over sine of big A is equal to little b over sine of big B. So I'll plug these numbers in. So little a is 22 divided by sine of big A, which was 88, is equal to little b, which is unknown, divided by sine of big B, which was 26.7 degrees. So I'm solving for B, so I need to get everything away from B, which is the division of the sine of 26.7. So the inverse of division is multiplication. I will multiply both sides by sine of 26.7. And so this is, again, just the numerator. So really I have 22 times sine of 26.7, and that's being divided by sine of 88, and that's going to equal to little b, because the division and multiplication are inverses of each other, so they become 1. So now I can just type this into my calculator. So in my calculator, I'm going to, or Desmos, I will type in 22 times sine, and it opens a parentheses for me automatically. This parentheses in the calculator automatically opens. Type in 26.7, and then I will close that little parentheses. I'm going to divide this by sine. Again, it opens up a little parenthesis. And I'm going to type in 88, and I will close that parentheses as well. I'll press enter, and B will say 9.89104 is equal to B. It says round to the nearest tenth. So this 9 makes that 8 go up to a 9. So my little b is really 9.9. Now, as always, we need to check that we do have the correct values. So I'm going to look at my left-hand side. I'm going to find my smallest number, which is big B, the 26.7. So I'm going to put a little s in the corner. I'm also going to look for the largest number, which is 88. So I'm going to put a little L in its corner. I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. So I look for the smallest number, which is 9.9. So put a little s in the corner. And I look for the largest number, which is 22. So I'm going to put a little L in its corner. I double check that my L's match up and my S's match up, and therefore I know that I have done this problem correctly.